The relations between US and European Union are breaking bad. Energy supplies to the EU have collapsed entirely during the past month, due to which the likelihood of a long gloomy winter has increased significantly. However, the US, which essentially pushed the whole of Europe into war, is likely in a comfortable position right now. This has rattled the EU completely. The past activities of Brussels indicate that the EU is trying to blackmail Washington, D.C. to break the mold and fix the crisis in Eurozone as soon as possible. Hence, Biden has now arm-twisted an oil-rich but sanctioned Latin America nation, which could be a boon for Europe at the moment. Hello and welcome to TFI Global, the foreign affairs and geopolitical analysis arm of the TFI Media Group. I'm your host Vedika, and if you haven't subscribed to the TFI Global channel yet, hit the subscribe button and press the bell icon to receive all the latest updates. And please install our Apple and Android mobile app. The link is given below in the description. Last month, US President Joe Biden was involved in an extortion bid against Venezuela. According to media reports, the Latin American nation Argentina ordered the seizure of Venezuelan plane held at the Buenos Aires airport at the behest of the United States, amid suspicions the aircraft of Iranian origin could have ties to terrorism. Reportedly, Argentine federal judge Federico Villena had ordered the seizure of the plane at the behest of the United States. The federal judge even agreed to the request of the United States to take the Venezuelan aircraft that Argentina had kept for 3 months. According to the reports that are public, the Venezuelan jet had flown into Argentina to deliver machine parts as cargo. However, Argentine authorities violated the protocol and denied refueling the jet, claiming that US sanctions prevented it from being done so, despite the fact that it was scheduled to return. This was a blatant violation of the Chicago Convention on Civil Aviation. It seems that USA is hell-bent upon misusing all the prevailing laws and conventions to arm-twist any nation according to its whims and fancies. The plane's crew, which comprised of Iranians and Venezuelans, spent hours attempting to convince the Argentine airport officials to provide them fuel. However, they failed. Later on, the plane was simply seized at the behest of the US. For the United States, Venezuela has always been a bad egg. In 2019, the US imposed sanctions on Venezuela, citing it as an authoritative state. However, after the Ukraine crisis, the US started to wear its heart on its sleeve due to its oil-rich tendency. In March 2022, several senior Biden administration officials from the White House and State Department traveled to Venezuela as the US intended a possible resumption of Venezuelan oil imports by the United States. Later, the US turned over a leaf for Venezuela as the White House approved the shipment of Venezuelan oil to Spain and Italy. In June, the European Union authorized the Italian and Spanish firms Enispa and Repsol SA to export Venezuelan oil. However, Venezuela vehemently crushed all intentions of the United States and went straight into Moscow's camp. Venezuelan President Nicolas Maduro vowed to strengthen its relations with the Eastern allies. Venezuela even hosted joint military maneuvers along with Iran, China, and Russia. Russia started to reroute exports of sanctioned Venezuelan oil with the help of UAE and other allies. Hence, the message from Venezuela was pretty clear. It knows which side of the bread is buttered. However, rather than the US, Europe has suffered more as a result of Venezuela's denial. The continent might have simply found a great alternative all at once if Venezuela would have agreed. However, now Europe is completely back against the wall. Hence, Brussels seems to be quite distressed with Washington, D.C., as it has led Europe into dire straits. Honestly, Brussels is desperate for oil and gas as winters are approaching, and the Commission fears that there could be widespread mass unrest in people if there are no proper gas supplies in winters. Though the repercussions are already visible now, even the EU has tried to blackmail the USA by denying aid to Ukraine and extending an olive branch to its rivals like Iran. Alarms were raised that the EU appears to be losing interest in the Ukraine war since for the last 2 months, EU members had not sent Ukraine a single bit of assistance. European politicians even traveled to Iran to propose peace talks with Russia and eyeing a new JCPOA agreement with more leverage to Iran. Sleepy Joe has always intended to keep Iran and Russia secluded from the world. Therefore, if the EU has been successful in these tactics, the US's main objectives would have been completely sabotaged. Venezuela is no longer in the lap of the West, and Nicolas Maduro has made it crystal clear the EU, on the other hand, is so much in need of energy that it could even eat a horse. So, the EU blackmailed Washington for oil. So Biden started blackmailing Venezuela. This might be the rationale for Biden's attempt to coerce Venezuela into commencing a damage control. It would be fascinating to see how precisely Venezuela responds now.